Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am super excited to share with you these fun cards made with the Way to Goat stamp set from the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. Now this stamp set is, I just love it. First of all, I love puns. My son is a big pun fan, and I love these cute goat images. So this set was made for me. I just think it's hilarious, and I love the cheeky sayings. Now, these may offend some people, so you have to be careful who you send these cards to, right? Calling somebody an old goat on their birthday may not go over well with certain individuals. However, I have lots of friends who would get a real kick out of a card that said, "Happy birthday, you old goat," and had a goat on it. So I had to get this right off the top when the catalog went live, and I've had some fun playing with it. So I'm just going to pull my video up here on my iPad so I can see who is with me today. Come on, there we go. We'll see if this iPad decides to cooperate today. All right, so that's the stamp set. You will find it in the new annual catalog. This is the annual catalog, just went live at the beginning of the month. It's on page 105 and it sells for $26 here in Canada, which is a great deal. Because again, it includes images and sentiments. All right. Oh, we got Sue and Leith and Joanne and Krista. Hi, you guys. How you doing? Sue, I see you've got your bag of goodies. I hope all was well with it. All right, so we are going to start with this one. We're going to do some coloring with Stampin' Blends today because these images are so much fun to color. And we're also, I'm going to show you the new Rainbow Glimmer Paper. Now this paper is amazing. I've got a full sheet of it here. Look at this paper. It is so much fun. Oh, Gail is joining us, and Sue and Anne. Hi, you guys. Hope you guys are good. Anne, I have to say, those treats you left for me are fantastic. I've only had one. Actually, I shared it with my husband last night, and he quite enjoyed it as well. So thank you so much for that. That was a really lovely surprise to come home to yesterday. So in any case, this is the new Rainbow Glimmer Paper. It is so sparkly, and the color is just fantastic. So I wanted to incorporate some of it on this card. And what I did is I cut a 2 by 6.5 inch piece, and then I embossed it using, you can probably see better on this side, the Ornate Floral embossing folder. Okay, because I just wanted to give it a little bit of texture, and I wanted to kind of mimic the flower that was in the goat's mouth. Okay, now this, as I mentioned, is a 6.5 inch long piece, and the embossing folder is really only 6 inches long. However, in order to be able to lie this on a diagonal across your card front, you need to use a 6.5 inch piece. So what I did, I didn't bring my embossing folder over here, but I'm going to fold the card base in half. I'm going to pretend that it is my embossing folder, and I'll show you how I did it. So if this is my embossing folder, I laid my piece in on a diagonal this way. Okay, so there are corners of, and you can see on this side, you see how these corners are not embossed? That doesn't matter because I'm going to cut them off when I put them on my card front. Okay, so just a little tip, if you're wanting to do a diagonal strip, I mean, it goes back to good old Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So you have to make sure that your piece that you want to do on the diagonal is cut long enough. Okay, all right, that's my math lesson for today. Okay, so our background panel is 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White cardstock, and I've embossed it using the brick and mortar embossing folder. And then I have my embossed glimmer paper that I'm going to lay on the diagonal right corner to corner. Okay, and you're gonna see there's just a teensy bit peeking out. That's okay, it's gonna get covered with our ribbon, so we're not gonna notice it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and glue that on. Gonna grab some of my Fabuloso Stampin' Seal, if it's going to work for me. There we go. I just had to get it rolling. The trick with Stampin' Seal, if you have not yet tried it, is to not press super hard. Okay, it's a really light touch, and it just kind of glides across your paper and is magical. It is a perfect replacement for Fast Fuse. I am thrilled with it. Okay, so I've glued my glimmer paper to my grid paper, and now I'm just going to flip it over and trim off the excess on the corners here. So I'm going to use the edge of my Whisper White panel as a guide. once again, I forgot to put a trash bin out for myself, so I'm going to make a big mess of this desk. There's going to be little bits and bobs everywhere. That's okay. We'll clean it up later. That's what vacuums are for, right? I'll get rid of this guy and one more over here. There we go. Hi Deb, how are ya? How's the weather in Calgary? Here it has been rainy and gloomy all day. But the sun just came out. I actually let the cats out and they immediately flopped on the front porch and started rolling around in the sun. So they were quite happy. They've been inside sleeping all day. All right, so there is my background piece. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Bumblebee Ribbon. This is the In Color Bumblebee Ribbon. And I'm going to lay this corner to corner. Okay, I'm going to take a glue dot and press my ribbon into the glue dot. I'm going to wrap it around my card front. You see that little bit that's peeking out? We'll trim that off in a sec. Okay, so then I'm going to trim this off the roll. Same thing here. Another glue dot. And we're going to stick that down. Okay, so now these little bits, we're just going to trim them off because we don't really want them peeking out there. When you're working on a diagonal like this, you end up with these odd little bits peeking out. Okay, so there is my card front. Wasn't that easy? So easy. All right, we're going to go ahead and glue this onto our card base. So this card base is thick Whisper White cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2, and I've already gone ahead and folded it. So we're going to add a little bit of adhesive with a nice light touch, whoopsie, to the back of our Whisper White panel. And you can decide which way you want it. I liked having the yellow in the top corner and having it get darker on the way down. You could do it the opposite. You could also use the greens and blues, which would be the other half of the paper. Okay, all right, now we're gonna stamp our goat. So here I have a die cut stitch circle. This is die cut using the largest circle die from the Stitch Shapes stamp set. Not stamp set, die set. And I've die cut it from Whisper White. I think I mentioned that. And I'm going to stamp up ink up my goat stamp. Look at how fun that is. I love that goat. And I'm going to stamp, I like to think of all goats as girl goats. I don't know why. I'm going to stamp her just in this sort of towards the right on my circle. Just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to take my sentiment that says way to goat, which just cracks me up. And we're going to stamp that one in that upper left corner of the circle, if that makes any sense. All right, so now we're going to pull out our blends and we're going to do a really quick color. All right, so I started by coloring the face of this little goat in ivory. So I'm just going to color real quick. This is not going to be super blended at all. I'm just going to fill it in, okay, with the ivory. Then I have my gray granite. I'm going to use my light gray granite, and I'm going to color the rest of my goat. So I'm doing ears. And I'm kind of working in really small strokes just because I want it to have just a teeny bit of texture. Like I don't want it to be super smooth, just to kind of mimic the goat's hair. So I'll color down this way. I really love gray granite for goats because it's kind of a brownish gray, and it actually is quite close to the coloring of some goats that I have had the pleasure of encountering. I don't know if any of you who live in Southern Ontario have ever been to a place called the Twin Valley Zoo in Brantford, but they have an awesome petting zoo area, and we took our son there when he was little. And they have a whole bunch of goats. And there was one baby goat that insisted on eating my son's shirt. He kept coming over and nibbling on his shirt. Max didn't know what to make of it. He just kind of stood there and let him do it. It's pretty funny. Oh, got to color the hair. Can't have a goat without colored hair. All right, so there is our goat. Then I'm going to bring in my dark gray granite, and I'm going to color the hooves and the horns with the dark. Super quick, super easy, and so cute. So fun. All right. Yes, the mosquitoes are also rather enjoying our weather here, Deb. It is, yeah, it has been quite buggy. I am going out at night to water my pots, my pots on my deck, and the mosquitoes rather enjoy me. All right, so here I have just a little teeny tiny flower that I punched from a scrap of the glimmer paper, and I'm going to just press it onto a glue dot. And rather than color the flower, I thought it would be fun to use a little glimmer paper flower to kind of mimic the background on my card. Oh, I forgot to color the goat's beard. Can't have that. There we go. Much better. Okay, so then I have a silver foil scallop circle. So this is cut using the layering circle dies, and it's the largest scallop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and layer just like that. So I got add a quick little bit of seal, and we're going to center that as best we can over the scallop circle. Okay, and then that is going to go on the front of our card with a couple of dimensionals. Oh, I bet it's buggy in Breslau, Krista. I think it's buggy everywhere. We've had a really wet spring, right? So I think the mosquitoes were rather productive during all that wet, yucky weather that we had. And yeah, it's a very buggy season this year. But welcome to springtime, summer in Canada, right? Right. Okay, so next I'm going to tie a bow. So this again is some more of that Bumblebee in color ribbon. I'm going to pinch my ribbon between my thumb and index finger, making 2 bunny ears. I'm going to take my left bunny ear, cross it over the right, bring it around and through to make my bow. And then we're just going to pull it tight. I'm going to leave the loops fairly large on this just because I can. I have space on my card for that. And sometimes it's fun to have a nice big old bow on there. So we're going to trim that off. And this is my 3rd live today. I did 2 Zoom calls this morning with students from school. We had our year-end live, and I just feel like I've been talking to computers all day. It's going to be nice when my husband comes home from work and I can talk to a real person. Poplar fluff. Oh, a snowstorm. Holy cow. That's crazy. I did not realize that poplars were quite that prolific and fluffy. That's crazy. Why do I have 2? I have 2 of the same size rhinestones and none of the little guys, but oh well. I did add a little bitty rhinestone to the center of my flower, but apparently I forgot to get some of those out. So you get the idea, right? So there is our cute little card. Now on the inside, I'm just going to stamp it because that's all I did. On my sample, I stamped "You're the Goat," which apparently, I did not know this until very recently, stands for greatest of all time. I kept seeing these things posted on Twitter about people being called goats, and I'm like, how is that a compliment? I had no idea that goat stood for greatest of all time. And once I did, I was like, oh, now I feel kind of silly. But anyhow, now I know. And now you know, so you're welcome. So hopefully you won't feel as silly as I did when you were reading things and going, well, that's not very nice to call somebody a goat. Apparently it is a good thing. Anywho, there we go. Card number 1 done. Super easy. I'm going to leave this out, and I'm going to leave this out, and I'm going to leave those out. All right. Well, let's move along to number 2. Number 2 is this fun one. I love this card. I had so much fun with it. So again, I used some more of that rainbow glimmer paper. This time I used the blues and the greens, okay? And I die cut one of the ornate layer dies. And isn't that just, oh, love it, fantastic. Okay, so I have my background panel. This is Magenta Madness. It is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and it's embossed using the Absolutely Argyle 3D embossing folder. So hold that up. It's a really great folder. I wanted this to kind of be girly and fun, and this folder just fit the bill perfectly for it. So then I have just a little bit of black organdy ribbon. This was left over from another class, so it's just cut to size. So I'm going to add a glue dot to either end of my ribbon. And about, I don't know, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches up from the bottom, I'm going to lay my ribbon across, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that on like that. Okay. Then I have a basic black panel. This is a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So 1/8 of an inch larger than my magenta panel. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that on with a really narrow border all the way around. So again, we'll just add a little bit of seal. And again, trick with this, super light touch, do not press, and you will love this adhesive. It is super sticky. Your cards will not fall apart. Awesome stuff. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my die cut. And this is just going to get glued flat. Okay. Now on this one, I did it underneath the ribbon, but I decided I didn't like the ribbon covering up my die cut there. So I want to put it over top. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and glue this on. Again, using a little bit of seal, and we want to center this so that the ribbon is kind of centered behind it. Okay. All right, now we're gonna do some stamping. So here I have a die cut label. This is cut using the same die set. So this is the Ornate Layers dies. This is actually the label die that is designed to go over top of this decorative die cut. Okay, so I'm gonna stamp. I got you a cake on the left side of my strip, my die cut strip here. So I'm just gonna stamp it and hopefully straight. There we go. So I got you a cake on this side, and then we're gonna stamp, but I ate it on this side. Okay, and then in the middle, we're going to stamp and fussy cut a chubby little goat, because why not? The chubby goat ate the cake. So we're gonna ink them up. And again, I'm using Memento Black here for my stamping. And we're going to do a really quick coloring job on this one. So I'm going to bring in my ivory again. I'm going to color the face with the ivory. So eyelids and the whole face, just real quick. My ivory tip is getting a little bit worn out. My blends get a lot of love. Actually, I think I might have a new ivory one in my stash somewhere. Okay, so there is the face. And then I'm going to bring in my light gray granite. And this time, I'm not actually going to color the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of color around the edges. So I'm not coloring the whole image. I'm just adding a bit of shadow. So this is kind of like, it's a white goat. It's a little bit dirty. He's got a little bit of grub on his fur. Well, fur. Goats don't have fur, do they? They have hair. So we're going to add just a little color to the corners, the edges of his coat here. Okay. And then I'm going to add just a touch of shadow. And I'm going to bring in my dark. Woo! See all the stuff that I cut off? I told you my desk was going to be a mess. It's sticking to everything. And then we're going to color the rest of the feet in the dark, as well as the horns. Okay, and then we're going to cut them out. So here we go, fussy cutting time. Now you could do this really, really simply, and I'm actually going to do that to start. I'll show you, and then you can always add more detail later. So I am just going to do a really rough cut around this for now, so that you don't have to watch me really fuss with it. So I'm just kind of cutting around. I'm not worrying about trying to get all the detail of all the little hair in there. I'm just going to cut around the ears and then come around this way. And again, when you're fussy cutting, the trick, the secret to success is to move your paper, not your scissors. Okay, trying to keep your scissors as stable as you can, and moving just your paper will give you nice smooth cuts. Okay, If you are moving your scissors a lot or making little teeny tiny, like lots of little cuts, you will find that you will not get a nice smooth finished product. You'll have lots of jagged edges. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to come around like that. There we go. Okay, so you can see on this one, I cut a lot more detail, but on this one, I did not. And honestly, they both totally work. So if you don't want to take the time to cut a whole lot of detail in your fussy cutting, it is not necessary. Okay, you don't need to add all those little wisps on the hair. So now we're going to go ahead and pop that up. I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals onto my label here. And we'll get rid of our backings. You can't make Stampin' Seal work. Huh, Debbie, that makes me sad because it is great adhesive. You don't have to be good at fussy cutting, Louise. And like I said, you do not have to cut with a whole lot of detail, okay? I just cut smooth cuts all the way around the body here. On my sample, I did a lot more detail. On this one, I did not, but both of them totally work, right? You do not have to add a ton of detail to your, whoop, turned off the light. You don't have to add a lot of detail to your fussy cutting. All right, so now we're going to put this onto the front of our card. I'm going to add some more dimensionals because why not? Dimension is fun. And it's what makes a handmade card different from one of those boring old flat store-bought cards. So we'll get rid of our backings and we'll pop this on. We're going to center it on our decorative label here. Okay, and then that is going to get glued onto another thick whisper white card base. So this is exactly the same as the last one, 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold in half along our score line. Thanks, Claire. I think this stamp set is too cute. I just really think it's fun. And I love making fun sort of cheeky cards because we all have, you know, those special friends that we can send these kinds of cards to, and it's fun to be able to make something that's going to make them laugh. All right, so we're going to pop this on to our card base. Woo, not crookedly. That was about to be really crooked. Save that one. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to add a bow. This bow's already tied because, as I said, it was left over from another class. I did a big clean out of leftover class kits, well, during the lockdown, and found all kinds of treasures of ribbon and bows that were all pre-tied. It's made my crafting super speedy lately. Did I get a glue dot? Yes, I did. Okay, so I pressed the knot of my bow into a glue dot, and I'm going to add it just to the corner of my label there. Isn't that fun? So fun. And again, detailed fussy cutting is not required, okay? You can just do a really smooth cut and it'll totally work, okay? That is number 2. Look at us rolling along. You guys ready to do a fun fold? I've got a cute fun fold to show you. All right, check out this one. So this one looks like just your typical card. However, it actually is a fun fold. So it starts out, it says, "Happy birthday, you old goat." On the inside, you open one way, it says, "I got you a cake." And on the inside, it says, "But I ate it." I just think that's hilarious. Sorry, maybe it's me. But I think that's really fun. So I'm going to show you how to put this one together. Get rid of all my bits out here. So we are starting with, where am I here? Okay, so I have a piece of Magenta Madness cardstock. It is 5 1/2. Is it 5 1/2? Yes, it is. Is it? Yes, it's 5 1/2 by 1 5/8. 5 1/2 by 1 5/8. And then I've scored it at 4 inches. Okay. And so what I'm going to do to start is fold along my score line. Crisp that up with my bone folder. Okay. And then I have a piece of, this is from the Flowers for Every Season DSP pack. I love this fun stripe. This is 1 1/2 inches by 4 inches. Okay, so you can get a lot of this size strip out of one 6x6 sheet. I get really strategic when we have 6x6 paper because I want to maximize my paper. So I want to cut this little banner end here, and I'm going to use my triple banner punch. So this is sized so that you can cut your paper to 1.5, or 2 inches. Now remember how I said this was 1.5, so I'm going to slide it in. It's going to fit right in those little grooves there. I'm going to push it in as far as it will go. Now when you're using this punch, you want to use it flat on your desk. Most punches will flip over and look through the window to see what we're cutting. I have found I get the best results if I have this sitting flat on my desk and then just punch. Okay, that's how I get a nice even V. If I try to flip it over, I never seem to get it even. Okay, just a little tip for using that punch. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue my strip onto my Magenta Madness cardstock here. Okay, and you're going to see I'm going to glue it flush with the folds, with that score line, and I'm going to have a little bit of a border top and bottom and a larger border at the end. So we're going to add just a little bit of seal here. And we're going to glue this guy on just like that. Okay. All right. Next, I have a piece of smoky slate cardstock. So this is 8 inches by 5 1/4. So 8 by 5 1/4. I scored it in the middle at 4 inches, and I embossed one panel with the pine wood planks embossing folder. Okay. So what I'm going to do is fold along my score line. And I want my edges to line up because this is going to be really the part of our card that opens. So I just want to make sure I burnish that well. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is glue this little flap onto the back of my smoky slate little mini card here that I've made. Okay, so I'm going to lay that on there. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive, and you could use actually Seal Plus for this if you wanted to. I don't have it here at the desk, but it would totally be an appropriate use for that because you want something nice and strong. Okay, and there's my little flap. Okay, then that is going to get glued onto our base. So this is a piece of Magenta Madness cardstock. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this is like half of a regular card base. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto my Magenta Madness panel. Wow, words are hard today. So I'm going to add, again, a little bit of adhesive to the back of this. And we're going to center this on here. Centered-ish. There we go. Okay, so that is the foundation of our fun fold. Okay, now we get to do the fun stuff. So we'll set this aside. Here I have a stitch square. This is cut using the Stitch Shapes dies as well. I think this is the second largest square. And I'm gonna bring back my little flower chewing goat, and I'm gonna use basic gray ink this time to stamp. So I'm gonna ink up my goat, and I'm gonna stamp her sort of in that bottom right corner, just like that. Okay. And to color this time, I'm actually going to use my light smoky slate. Oh, I should have brought my dark one over too. I didn't. Oh well, that's okay. And again, I'm going to do sort of similar to what I did on the last card. I'm just going to color the hair. I don't even know if this is the hair. It's hair to me. It's at the top of her head. It's hair. What do they call the hair at the top of a goat's head? Is it a wig? I don't know. And again, I'm going to add just a little bit of shadow. Sort of where the shadow is on the stamp. I'm just adding little hints of shadow because I don't want to take a ton of time to color this. This is a quick and easy card. And white goats are a thing. They really are. I'll add a little bit to the tail. There we go. Oh, and we got to color the beard. Okay, that's it. Super quick and easy. And then I'm actually going to bring in my dark gray granite to color the horns because I forgot to bring my smoky slate, but that's okay. We can have a slightly different shade of gray for the horns. Why not? I'm not sure that goats are color coordinated anyway. There we go. And then I'm going to color my little flower with my light Magenta Madness. Oh, how awesome is this color? It is so vibrant. I need to play more with this color. Absolutely love it. Okay, goat number 1 is done. Then I'm going to bring in, I've got 3 balloons that I punched from the Color Family DSP pack. So this is Magenta Madness, okay? It's sort of that textured side. You could use the polka dots if you like. I just wanted it to be a little bit less patterned so you could see the sentiment a bit better. And then I have, this one is Bumblebee and this one is Flirty Flamingo. So all of my colors are in the DSP, okay? So that's where I pulled those colors from. Now I'm gonna stamp my Happy Birthday Yule goat in, where did I put my black? I'm going to stamp this in the Memento Black, just so it stands out better against the pink. So I'm going to just stamp that right on my balloon. Look at that, so fun. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that down just in that top corner of my, where's my Tombow? Of my little square. So we'll put just a titch of Tombow there. And we're going to add our sentiment up there and hope it doesn't move too much. And then I'm going to grab a glue dot and I'm going to add one to sort of the bottom part of my yellow balloon. I'm going to tuck it in here just like that. And then I'm going to add another glue dot and tuck the Flirty Flamingo one in behind the square. So add a glue dot there. We're just going to tuck that in just like that. Okay, so you just want to be careful when you're gluing these on, because you have to remember that when you open this flap, you're going to see the back of it. So you kind of want it to be tidy. All right, so just think about what it's going to look like from the back when you do it. Okay, all right, so now we're ready to glue that onto our flap. So that's going to go on right about there, and we're going to use a couple dimensionals to do that. So I'll just kind of put 4 right on my little arm here. We'll get rid of our backings. And then, I know the sentiment is hilarious. I love these. But like I said, not everybody would react well to this. I can think of some people who would be offended by this sentiment, but I think it's hilarious. Okay, so that is the front. Now we need to open it and do our next little message. Okay, so here, I think this is just the cutest little goat. I love this goat. So this is the next size down square in the die set. Okay, so again, from Whisper White cardstock, I'm gonna get my little dancing goat here. And again, we're gonna anchor up and stamp just sort of down in the corner. I'm doing this in the corner because I want to make sure I have room to put my little balloon on with the sentiment. And again, I'm going to grab my smoky slate. This is the light smoky slate. We're going to color the hair. And then just add a little bit of shadow here and there, just so she doesn't look completely white. Okay, and actually, you know what? No, we'll use the gray. I'm going to bring, as this dark, yeah, my dark gray granite, and do the horns and the hooves. There we go. Dancing goat done. All right, so here I have another balloon. This is a smaller one, and I'm going to use the I Got You a Cake sentiment. So we're going to ink that up and stamp that on our pink balloon. And then we're going to glue that in the upper corner here. And I think for this, I'm going to use a couple glue dots just to be quick, so it sets up a little faster if the glue dots decide to cooperate with me. So we're going to just put that right in the corner there. Okay, and then we're going to glue that. Now this is where you want to be careful, because you want to make sure when you glue this on, then it's going to be hidden behind the front flap. Okay, you don't want to give away that there's another little secret message in there. So when you glue that down, just think about where that's going to go. Okay, so what I did is I kind of put it where I wanted it, and then I took a little bit of Tombow, and I'm going to add a little bit here, and then I'm going to peel this side up and add a little bit there. Okay, and that way it's exactly where I put it, and I don't end up accidentally putting it in a spot where it's going to be seen from the front. Okay, so that is flap number 2. Okay, and then on the inside we're going to add a layer and do our last little sort of punchline of our little joke here. So this is a piece of Whisper White. It is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I'm going to stamp But I Ate It in my Memento Black. And then we're going to bring back the basic gray. I'm just going to stamp this guy off because I used him on the last card. And we're going to use the basic gray to stamp our chubby little goat. And he's just going to kind of be down here in the corner, looking rather smug because he ate the cake. Did you notice how the one that ate the cake is a boy? Okay, so let's color this. Again, we're going to give him his hair a little color. Is this the right color? Nope. Oh, well, he's going to have dark hair. That's all right. I picked up the dark gray granite by mistake. That's all right. We'll just go with it. No biggie. Like I said, goats are rarely color coordinated. And then we are going to add just little hints of gray. This is the light smoky slate. Just to add a bit of color to the hair. There we go. A little bit here on the ear. And we'll do the horns in the same color as the hair. There we go. There's our goat. Love them. Okay, so now we're going to add a bit of adhesive to the back. And we're going to find the one that is the one that is not done. I think it's this one. Yep. And then we're going to glue that inside our card. And there we go. There's your finished card. Isn't that fun? So fun. I love fun folds that are funny. Funny fun folds are great. Okay, let me clean up my mess here and I'll bring back all three so you can see them again. There's number 1, number 2. Let's put this here, and number 3. There you go. 3 fun, fun, fun cards featuring the Way to Goat stamp set. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. I am out. This is my last week of work. Hallelujah. I am so ready to be done with distance learning for a couple of months. I'm sure we'll be back at it in the fall, but for now, I am so excited. Friday is my last day. I will not be live this Friday, however, because I am having my first face-to-face club meeting in, 3 months, 4 months. So we are doing my socially distanced wine club on Friday night. So I will not be live on Friday. But you may want to just check back on Thursday, because Thursday is a big day for me, and I might just have a special surprise for you. Okay? All right, I'm not going to say any more than that. That's my teaser. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next Tuesday for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.